Hi, my name is Rebecca Williamson. I'm the publisher of FiercePharma, and I'm here today with Bob Mauch, Group President of AmerisourceBergen. Bob, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hi, Rebecca. Thanks. Glad to be here.
So, Bob, the cost of prescription drugs is constantly in the news today, and I think it's very easy for us to feel like the healthcare system is fractured. Yeah. How can we feel good about the healthcare system and pharma overall?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things to keep in mind when we're thinking about pharmaceuticals and the cost of healthcare.
Sure.
And the conversation is really getting collapsed in some big sound bites that
sure.
May not be helpful in the long run. I think the most important thing is there's a fact that many people can't afford prescription medications, sure. Right? Unfortunately, that then gets completely taken to the next step, which is basically, pharmaceuticals are too expensive, and it's not necessarily true. There's problems at the counter, for patients, and there's sure. benefit design solutions that should be implemented to make sure that the lowest cost is delivered to the patient at the point of care. Sure. But it doesn't necessarily mean that pharmaceuticals are not cost effective. And what's been lost in all of this conversation, especially over the last couple of years, is that pharmaceuticals are the most cost effective medical intervention. They have been for a long time. Low single digits, yeah. Part of the proportion spent on healthcare or pharmaceuticals. It's been that way for a long time. So even with the amazing innovation that's happening within the pharmaceutical industry, the proportion of healthcare costs that go to pharmaceuticals are not really rising to the extent that you would think they are based on the rhetoric that's out there, frankly. So we've got to solve for patient out-of-pocket costs, sure. And at the same time recognize that the innovation that's going on in the pharmaceutical industry is incredible, life-saving, and that has to continue. So I think as the conversations go on and we have the right people at the table talking about solutions, that we'll find a way to maintain both the fantastic innovation and make sure that patients can afford their medications.
Yeah, very good. Okay. So how do distributors bring efficiencies and savings to the healthcare system overall?
Yeah, that's a great question. What we do is we buy products from pharmaceutical manufacturers, then we warehouse them and we deliver them to providers, all throughout the United States, sure. The very next day. What that does is it really consolidates the delivery and logistics of it. In fact, our industry trade association, which is the Healthcare Distribution Alliance, just did a study that shows that the distribution industry saves between $33 to $55 billion a year wow. through the services that we provide. In other words, if the pharmaceutical manufacturers had to ship to all the different providers in the United States every single day the way that we do, it would cost an additional $33 to $55 billion.
That's great. That's very good. So tell me, how can the pharma supply chain work together to overcome today's challenges like patient access and patient affordability? Yeah,
that's the biggest thing on my mind right now is partnership, collaboration, and how we're going to innovate together in our industry. And we're here at a meeting now with our pharmaceutical manufacturer partners, which is fantastic. And what's really important, and the message that I gave here was, we have to put down our negotiating pencils for a little while. And we have to really get together and think about what's best for patients, what's best for the U.S. healthcare system, and how we can together play a role in bringing solutions that create enhanced access and manage costs and increase efficiency over time. So that the partnership component, I think when you look at all of the changes in healthcare, is the most important thing because there are lots of different stakeholders and the solutions will only come when we're all together thinking about the future and innovating together.
So in closing, can you tell me what makes you proud to work for a distribution company?
What makes me proud is really the fact that anywhere in the United States, when you go to a physician's office or a pharmacy or a hospital, that you have the confidence that that medication will be there, and there's a massive infrastructure, within our industry, and that makes that happen every day. We take it for granted, but it makes me incredibly proud to know that any of us can get medications whenever we need it because of the services that we provide. The next thing is really when you think about efficiency in healthcare and the need to increase efficiency in healthcare, is that the pharmaceutical distribution industry has over decades and increasingly increases the efficiency and effectiveness of healthcare in the United States. So, people talk about how a lot of players are adding costs. Our industry is continually taking costs out. That's something that we're very proud of.
That's great. Very good. Well, I think that's all the time that we have today, but thank you so much for chatting with me. This is great.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.